I'm just going to start it now, catch these guys off guard. Welcome to the Top Bins Football Podcast. I'm with Joey and Scunda again via the phone, and we're going to talk a bit about the shocking result that we saw last night. The reigning champions Liverpool beaten at home to Burnley. 1-0 at home to Burnley. Guys, that was a shock and a half, wasn't it?
Their front three of Salah and Firmino and and also Mane had not scored in 4 games now.
Yeah.
Is it now? Is it 4 games? So that and the penalty that was given was very soft penalty. I don't think Alisson knew much about it, and yeah, it was a very soft penalty. So in a way, it was a shocking result, and it was a shocking decision by the referee.
Well, now that you mentioned it, let's just fly right into that decision, because that was the penalty did decide the game. You know, Burnley won 1-0 from that penalty. I have to agree. I think that's more than just soft. That was a dive, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think he dived.
Yeah, it's crazy how there wasn't much talk about that. You know, all the talk I heard after the game and stuff, and all the stories was about Liverpool lose 68 home game unbeaten record. And about the result, but it wasn't actually about the penalty itself. It's strange, but now that we brought it up, I have to say I've got to say I agree
Barnes,
as well.
Wasn't it?
Sorry.
Yeah, Ashley Barnes. Yeah.
It was Ashley Barnes. Yeah.
Yeah, Ashley Barnes. Yeah. And yeah, it was soft.
Yeah.
No, you're right. It was soft. Do you think that? But obviously, that doesn't kind of warrant the poor performance from Liverpool, though, does it? Do you think they probably would have lost anyway?
No,
I don't think they would. They might have drew.
No, I don't think they would have lost. I think they would have drawn. Yeah, I think Origi, who had that chance in the first half. Oh my God! When misjudged that back pass, and then he hit the bar. I mean, that he should have buried that. He should have done better. Absolutely.
Not scoring at home will worry them, won't it? The fact that they didn't even score at home will worry them.
Yeah. It is worrying. It is worrying now.
Well, 2 games in a row they haven't scored at home. It must be a bit of a kick in the teeth, Joey, knowing that Manchester United went there and got a 0-0 draw, and then Burnley go there and end their unbeaten record.
Yeah, it's a bit of a kick in the teeth. That is.
I think, but they had that chance right at the start, though. Well, in the first half, anyway. Was it who? I think it was Ben Mee that messed up on the halfway line, didn't he?
Yeah, Ben Mee. Yeah.
And who was it that ran onto it? Origi. Yeah, he ran clear as day. 1v1. Mane was coming up to his side as well. If he could have waited a second, done an easy pass. But obviously he's well in his right to take the shot. But how has he not scored?
Yeah, big
he's
opportunity.
blast it in to the top corner. Why is he blasting it in right into the top corner? Or he's in a 1v1. He can almost hit it anywhere. He could have a bit of a safer shot and almost guarantee it's going to go in. He's gone in for such a powerful shot for the top corner.
Yeah, I mean, that's a point in itself. I mean, you look at Liverpool's starting lineup last night. I know they've obviously suffered a lot of injuries this season, but their starting lineup last night. No Jordan Henderson. I think he may have been out injured. I'm not entirely sure. They didn't start with Salah. He started on the bench. They didn't start with Firmino either. And Origi playing through the middle, Mane and Oxlade-Chamberlain wide of him. So it was a bit of a strange lineup, really, from Liverpool, wasn't it? Why do you think they rested Salah? I mean, surely you'd start. I mean, even if the front three aren't performing quite as well, when you're in a bit of a rut, which Liverpool were going into this match, you'd go with Mohamed Salah.
Maybe, but then you'd have to ask, like, why are they in a rut? You know, why are they in a rut? And my opinion is
why?
Is that they're physically? I think they're mentally. The starting 11 and predominantly the front three. They're mentally fatigued and they're also physically fatigued. Because the last few seasons they've been right at the top, and they finally got it. They finally got the league and the Champions League, and I feel like mentally they dropped off. But not only mentally, because they've won it and they just feel like they've already done it now. They don't have to. It's like a subconscious effect where they just don't feel they need to try as hard. There's not as much motivation, but then also physically because they've been run into the ground for those years, and now it's just the effects are there to be shown. They don't have the energy. They're not even pressing.
Do you also think at the same time it's all about the fact that every single Premier League team had not had that preparation of pre-season football, and and now the fatigue is coming through with Liverpool, because Liverpool had to play extra matches, didn't they? They had to play the World Championship final, which they won, obviously, but they had to take it into extra time, didn't they?
Yeah.
But they had extra games, and do you think that might play the part in the fact that that's why their
I definitely think so.
Levels are really, really low.
Yeah, they're playing because they're playing so much more games than everyone else in the last few years because of how many games they're playing. So yeah, I do think that played a part. I don't think they have the energy to keep going, especially the way Klopp makes these teams play. You look at it's such a team that just sprints, high intensity team that's constantly sprinting, and it's just like you can't keep doing that every year, like with that intensity. So they're going to drop off, and they have, and what they really should have done, they should have got a couple of more replacements, I think.
Yeah, I agree with that. They should have invested.
They have stuck with the same squad, haven't they? They literally, they haven't really brought anyone in, which is very surprising.
All Liverpool fans were literally crying out for Koulibaly back in the summer. Defensive mid. I think that would have been hugely important because you look at their defensive problems. Virgil van Dijk obviously got injured early on. Matip's been out for a long time, although he was back last night. And Gomez is also injured. So they've had to play Henderson centre back with Fabinho, and it's not a natural partnership. Henderson has struggled in that position at this this season, you have to say. And whereas Koulibaly, if he was brought in, could have solved a lot of their problems. Henderson could have been playing, back in midfield.
I mean, like they got rid of Lovren. Don't get me wrong, but like you're going to get rid of the centre back and then not replace that slot. So they only really have 3 centre backs. How are you going to go through a season with 3 centre backs?
Yeah,
3 centre backs. Look at three main centre backs.
Yeah.
Look at Manchester United. Look at not just Manchester United because yes, I'm a Manchester United fan, but look at how many defenders, how many midfielders we got, how many strikers we got now. We got almost like we can rotate that squad.
Was it you got Maguire, Lindelof, Bailly. Who else?
Lindelof, Bailly. We got we still got Jones. Tennessee.
Oh yeah.
We still got Jones, but I think we're going to sell him.
You still got Marcus Rojo, or is he sold?
I think we are planning on selling him.
Yeah, but you still got him for now, haven't you? I mean, that's another option, isn't it?
Yeah, we still got him for now, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, exactly.
I think we got a few youngsters coming through as well, like Mengai and what's it, Mengai? There's another Baird. Yeah, we've got some youngsters coming through as well. Who can play centre back. And
just going back to sorry, just going back to Liverpool because I just feel like Henderson and Fabinho, they're central midfielders, and you're putting them at centre backs, and now you're making your midfield weak as well. So you've got two problems there.
Yeah, exactly.
They're your starters.
Exactly. Yeah, it's had a knock-on effect.
And they got a lot of talk about Ronaldo going to Barcelona.
Yeah.
Sakri, he hasn't played. I think he played his first game, which was against Manchester United. On that Tuesday, was it Tuesday night? I think it was. Yeah. And that was his first game since I think last season. I think it was.
See,
and then, but look, again, they're bringing in players that haven't been playing too much, so they haven't got experience of the game of the players around them, and so how are they going to gel? How are they going to?
So you look at that game again then last night, and you can say the penalty was controversial, but like that can't be the excuse for Liverpool losing obviously their unbeaten record at home to Burnley. Like on the balance of play, did they deserve to win? Do you think? If disregarding the penalty shout.
Well, I mean, I'd say they kind of were not so good going forward, but just because they didn't deserve to win per se doesn't mean I think they deserve to lose. But Burnley didn't really offer much going forward. They literally got a lucky break. It was lucky in my opinion, and Barnes dived. Okay, he wasn't soft. It was a dive. I mean, I watched it over again. It's just like he's just tapped. Like Barnes has tapped Alisson, and then it's just like flung his legs back. Yeah. And he's just got a penalty. I don't understand how was that given.
I agree with you. I think the penalty was soft, soft rather. But I think. But do you think Liverpool still should have offered more in that game, shouldn't they? They should have at least drawn the game. They should have won it really. So they should have offered more, shouldn't they?
Well, they were just terrible in the final third, really, weren't they? I think. Yeah. Just sort of lacking confidence, lacking just, I guess, the energy maybe, or I think it's more confidence really, or something. I don't know what it was. It's like they're getting it around the box and then nothing's happening. Nothing substantial is happening.
A lot's been made of their fullbacks this season and the fact that they haven't been performing the same, like Alexander-Arnold and Robertson. They were key in their title-winning season last time.
No. I think their fullbacks are playing really well. I think they are the only two in form people in the squad.
Really?
Because I've heard from Liverpool fans. That's quite interesting because a lot of Liverpool fans at the moment are saying that their fullbacks are just they look so tired and they're a shadow of the players they were last season.
Well, they are doing a lot more running, aren't they? They're doing a lot more running than most fullbacks.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I don't think they've been playing that well. I think they've just been subpar, if anything. That's the best they've been is subpar. But I think they really haven't been good at all. I think that's putting it nicely.
I think Robertson, what he showed against United that his form he wasn't on form because there had been times where he was in attacking positions and he didn't really choose the right ball or the right time to cross it in or to put in someone, and he wasted many opportunities on the left hand side but I thought Arnold did really well. I thought he did really well that game. He was picking out really good passes, and he was being quite a threat, but I think out of the fullbacks, I think Arnold is doing better than Robertson.
Yeah.
However,
You wouldn't say they're the full blown one.
Sorry, going back to that penalty incident, you're talking about Henderson and Fabinho like coming back and taking the centre backs positions. I know Matic was there against Burnley, but Fabinho was still there, you know, and he was the one that let Barnes get away, you know, but you think about that, like he shouldn't even be there. He shouldn't even be in that position. He shouldn't have to be dealing with Barnes in that position. And so I just feel like these things have a massive effect. You take away your midfield, you know, your structure, your core for midfield, and put it at centre backs, and they're not the best there. And then you got your midfield, you got your front three. So you got your front three not running forward either. So it's just not Liverpool.
But before Fabinho was in the midfield, he was a right back. He did play right back for Monaco, didn't he? He played right back, and then also
right back is vastly different to centre back.
Yeah, I know that, but I think he also did play centre back as well. He could play anywhere along the back line. And
well, don't get me wrong. I guess they can kind of play in that position, but there's a reason why. Then they're not officially always playing in those positions, because they're not. I wouldn't say they're fully qualified. That's basically it. They're not fully qualified to play in those positions. The only reason they play in those positions is when there are no other choices.
Yeah,
you know,
he is. I feel like he's a CDM, a central defensive midfielder.
Again, but that's different to a centre back. It's completely different, in my opinion. It's not. Well, maybe not completely different, but it's fairly different, because as a centre defensive mid, you're dealing with players that are trying to ping the passes, and usually these players are different. They're different, usually different sort of body structure to your strikers, you know, and their mindset, the way they play, are different to the strikers. The positioning on the pitch is different. Fabinho in centre defensive mid will have a much better positional awareness of where to be and when to go to a tackle and when not to. At centre back, he's the last man. At defensive mid, he's not the last man. He's got a back four behind him, you know. There's a different type of pressure there as well. Once you play in a position like centre back, it's like, well, if a player gets past me, then we're almost well and truly fucked. Sorry for swearing.
That's all right.
But like in centre defensive mid, if a player gets past me, that's okay. There's a centre back behind me, and it might even give me enough time to run back and try and cover him if he can at least stall him long enough. It's just different. It's fairly different.
I think. I guess so.
Yeah, looking at.
Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, we need to give Burnley some credit, obviously, as well. I mean, the fact that they went to Anfield. Liverpool weren't in the best of form, obviously, going into it. Not like they were last season. However, we've got to give them some form. I mean, they're 4-4-2. They've been playing for years, as far as I can remember. As you know, as they've been in the Premier League. But it did work. It did work well. I think it just countered Liverpool's attacks last night. They couldn't get through them. Wood and Barnes. I've always rated their... Not so much Ashley Barnes, but Chris Wood. And I thought Chris Wood played very well. He's a great strike partner for pretty much anyone. I think he's great with his feet. He's great with his head. So Chris Wood offers a lot to Burnley, and that was a great signing. I remember when they actually bought him from Leeds like years ago. So we obviously got to give Burnley some credit, and that result's going to lift their spirits up hugely, isn't it? You know, defeating the champions.
Yeah. I mean, they drew. Was it? They almost drew with Manchester United. Even they gave their team, they're a bogey team to a lot of top teams in the Premier League. I feel, especially to like Manchester United and Liverpool, Tottenham.
Yeah.
It's like they are. I feel like they are the Stoke City of.
Stoke City. Yeah, they're one of those. Yeah, they're one of those teams that are difficult to break down. Yeah.
But they're difficult to break down. And Stoke City had that run of like so many games where they didn't concede a goal, and they were winning, or they were drawing quite a lot as well. But yeah, Burnley are like the new Stoke City.
I think Burnley were resilient that game. They just stayed in, and then when the chance came,
very very resilient. They are very.
And what in told to do.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Sikander, you kind of
Josh,
echoed.
real quick, Chelsea.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, you're okay now. You're okay now. So go on.
Josh, so Chelsea lost their home unbeaten run. I think it was 86 or 88, something like that, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Unbeaten run to Liverpool. But the idea of losing the home unbeaten run, how did that affect Chelsea afterwards?
Yeah, it had a massive. Obviously, it was massive. Like when it actually happened, I remember the game. Yeah, funny you should bring it up, Sikander, because we lost quite a few home records over the years. I remember when Jose Mourinho lost his unbeaten home record when he was in charge of Chelsea in 2014 to Sunderland.
With Aston Villa, wasn't it?
It was Sunderland.
Yeah, I remember that. I thought it was Aston Villa.
No, it was. But yeah, referring to the game that you mentioned, Sikander, back in 2008, against Liverpool. I remember when Xabi Alonso scored that day for them. It had a massive effect. Obviously, Scolari was in charge then, a manager I didn't really rate. And yeah, I think it was huge. Obviously, the pressure was mounting. Everyone was talking about Chelsea's unbeaten run. Would it get worse from here? But to be honest, at the same time, it's going to sound weird, but at the same time, it was kind of a relief when to see it broken, because it's like, oh well, it has to end sometime. And like in a way, I was getting more and more nervous every single game we played at home, because I was thinking like, oh, it might be a bit pessimistic, but it's also realistic as well. Like you're thinking, yeah, we're on a great run, but yeah, let's face it, we're not the team we were one a few years ago maybe, and it's going to end at some point. You've just got to face reality. So I was getting quite nervous, and I'm sure I'm not the only Chelsea fan who was getting nervous. So it was difficult. I think that day in particular, it was literally just about the game. I think Liverpool were just the better team, and it was fine to accept that. The unbeaten home run, to be honest, didn't really play on my mind as much, but it did obviously make a big headline. But yeah.
Well, think about when Arsenal was unbeaten one was broken.
No, that's a whole nother topic. Go on down that rabbit hole.
Of course, you'd bring that up.
Sorry, I thought I'd bring that up. I'm just saying that Man United, at home to broke their unbeaten record. But then, think about it. Arsenal after that kind of went in decline after that.
Well, so. I wouldn't say it was all from that defeat. But yeah, it was loads of different factors that came from it. But yeah, the thing is though, Skander, you can probably relate in the sense. I mean, Joey's referring to obviously an unbeaten run, but which is different to what you mentioned to me, like an unbeaten home run. But it's the similar kind of thing. But like when that run ended, or when it was still going towards the latter stages of those games, when it got to about 44 games or something, you ended on 49. But when it kind of got into those 40s, you must have been thinking like, oh, it's a bit nervy now. Maybe it's going to end at some point. But like, you obviously cheering your team on, hoping it wasn't going to end. But at the same time, I suppose reality does sort of creep up. And it's like hard to deny it. It's going to end at some point.
I mean, to be fair, I was fairly young at the time.
Yeah, of course,
I was like 8 or so. So actually, reality didn't hit me until we actually lost.
Fair enough. But
genuinely, because obviously we're not doing this. Okay.
We're not doing this.
but like seriously, like throughout the whole time watching, for a whole time watching the 2003-2004 season, where we actually had the whole season unbeaten, it just felt like every time I was watching Arsenal, I was like, yeah, they're going to do it. They're going to win, or I was like, they're gonna win. I was always on that mentality. Obviously, they drew a couple of games, but I never thought they were gonna lose. I remember, I remember on that run, like it was against Middlesbrough. I think it was against Middlesbrough. I can't remember what happened. I think we went like 2 down or 3 down or something like that.
Yeah.
2 down or something. And I just remember like watching it as a kid, and I was getting hyped. I was genuinely actually getting hyped when we were losing, because I was like, oh my god, we're losing like quite badly, but they're going to come back, and it's going to be a mad comeback. Like as a kid, I was sort of thinking like how crazy it's going to be when we win, because I was genuinely like, we're going to win, and we did actually.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So that was just me being a kid then, but obviously a lot older now. I do agree with you. You know, I think it affects the players as well. That pressure.
Yeah.
They feel like they have to win. They have to make sure at least that they don't lose.
Yeah. I think at the end, sometimes though records are, you know, as stereotypical as it may sound, records are just records, and like I think some fans block it out, and because to me personally, when Chelsea lost that unbeaten home record, and when Jose Mourinho lost at home for the first time in ages as Chelsea manager, it wasn't so much that disappointed me. It was just the results, the actual result on the day that disappointed me.
Yeah.
Yeah.